Last Friday, I woke up really early to get out to Northeast 148th by 8 a.m. to take part in the annual Policymakers Ride. Here's the person who organizes it all, Steph Noll from Oregon Trails Coalition.
For some folks today, this may be your very first Policymakers Ride, but others of you here today may have memories of formative rides from years ago that really made an impression, that really inspired you, where a new collaboration first sprouted, where you maybe made a connection that is still important today in your work or just to your personal sense of community. And that is a big part of what today's ride is about.
After those morning pleasantries, it was time to get on the bikes and ride. And pretty quickly, we saw what this whole thing is all about, which is getting these policymakers and elected some real taste of what the conditions are like out there. Like how hard it is to cross Marine Drive without a huge group or without some nice person hitting the beg button for you. Anyway, it was a beautiful morning on Marine Drive, completely still. And I caught back up with Steph Noll just to ask her a bit more about the event. Okay, here is Steph Noll. What are we doing today?
The purpose is to build relationships between elected leaders and agency leaders and advocates across jurisdictions and across different agencies for future collaboration, all while experiencing some great off-street trail infrastructure, multi-use paths, but also the challenging gaps in the network so that we can collaborate on fixing those gaps.
By the way, I have no idea why my audio was bad and then got good again right at the end of that clip. Bear with me here, folks. I'm always trying to learn new things with audio and video right now, so I appreciate you learning along with me and giving me a little bit of grace. So we made our way east using parts of Marine Drive that are on the street and not so great, and off the street, which are okay, and then crisscrossing it as we made our way over to what's called Chinook Landing Park. Again, like I said, it was an absolutely beautiful day to be riding with 120 or so people in this group. But I wanted to reiterate what Steph is talking about collaboration. Look at some of the conversations that just organically happen when people are out of the office on their bikes. I just took my camera, walked through Chinook Landing Park here, and just noticed all these folks talking to each other, having a great old time. This is the kind of networking, meeting face-to-face, informal chats and things that actually lead to things getting done. So it's really fun to be around this group. There's such a good energy the whole time. And now I'll pass it over to Metro Councilor Ashton Simpson, who's one of the many people who we heard from at the various stops along the way.
Welcome to District 1. Welcome to Chinook Landing. You already were on the Marine Drive Trail. Right now, Metro is working with the City of Portland to close a gap on this trail between I-205 and Northeast 122nd. Once that project is completed, we will have just 3 gaps to close before there is a safe, comfortable off-street passage the entire length of Marine Drive.
Well, I cannot wait for that to happen. Next, I bumped into Oregon State Rep Willy Chotzen and chatted with him for a few minutes.
And we're seeing a lot of what's going well in terms of bike infrastructure and pedestrian infrastructure, and a lot of where it needs to get better as well.
Anything in particular stand out in terms of the ride?
Marine Drive is incredible. And then you have those parts where you're sharing it with cars. And for folks who, bike but don't bike all that often, I think how safe it feels makes a huge, huge difference in terms of whether this is a spot where they can bring their family and have a Saturday afternoon versus the kind of thing that they're only doing if they're a more experienced biker. So the need to fill in those gaps so that it's continuous feels more pressing than ever. I feel like I've had nothing but great conversation. Everyone's in a good mood. They're moving their bodies. The sun is shining. It's kind of the best of all things Portland. And at the same time, I think in this moment, right, there's a lot of dark stuff happening politically right now. The thing I'm telling everyone is community, community, community. That's how we get through it. That's how we survive it. That's how we build back better. And this is just community in action right now and quite literally in motion, which is pretty awesome to see.
After we left Chinook Landing Park, it was finally my chance to ride the new Chalk Trail for the very first time. I've ridden this a ton of times when it was just grass and dirt, which I kind of liked, but boy, was it nice to see the path and everybody enjoying it now. This opened just a few years ago. A really big W by the city of Troutdale, Metro, 40 Mile Loop, and all the other partners involved. I will let some of the folks who had something to do with that take it from here.
All right, so welcome to Troutdale. My name is Kristen. I am again with the Port of Portland. Proud to be part of East County. Speaking for today's purposes about how we helped consider and connect the 40 Mile Loop and improve overall mobility for East County through the Chalk Trail development. It took a long time to do it, but we did it. And now you are also seeing the results of the city of Troutdale filling in their portion of the gap.
And we developed this awesome plan with the help of Metro, and we did a declaration of cooperation. where we all said we'd work together to make this a vision, a reality. And I'm floored. So I encourage you to think, what's the next vision for the next 20 years?
I'm Marlee Boxler. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator with the City of Troutdale. The group came in on the Chalk Trail and then connected up with the brand new Sharon Nesbitt Heritage Park and Trail, which then took them right to the Gateway to the Gorge Visitor Center and then right into our downtown. And we're here at Mayor's Square Park in our downtown. And this is really exciting because the Chalk Trail is a brand new connection and the Sharon Nesbitt Heritage Park is still under construction, but is about to open and be another connection in the 40-mile loop and over with the Sandy River Delta and Lewis and Clark State Park and the historic Columbia River Highway State Trail.
What does it mean in terms of economic development or just for the city of Troutdale to have these new paths and better bike access?
Well, we see cyclists every single day in downtown Troutdale. They love the charming town. They love to come out and grab a cup of coffee before or after their ride. And so it's really fun to see everyone enjoying that outdoor recreation piece and enjoying our charming downtown. There's so many different connection points that happen right here in Troutdale where we're at that edge between urban and rural. Even beyond that, Troutdale is going to be a destination for cyclists. We're going to see people coming from all over the world to cycle the historic Columbia River Highway State Trail. So we're thinking into the future about what those amenities can look like. Can we have hotels that support cyclists when they come here? Can they start their journey right here in Troutdale and go out and enjoy the amazing scenery of the gorge and also connect back in to Portland? Could someone land at the airport and ride a bike all the way here to Troutdale and then continue on the rest of the way? How can we make those pieces happen so that we're known as a destination for cycling?
And I got to tell you, I think Marlee and the city of Troutdale are really onto something. We had lunch at the Highlands, which is a beautiful spot overlooking the river and the town. And they have food carts. They have excellent drinks. Hope someday that we'll actually see bike parking this full and not just because the ride was in town. But I'm so excited about the future of Troutdale and all these paths. But for now, let's get back on the road.
Coming to you live from the, no, not live. What street is this? We're on the McManagement Edgefield Road. Who am I with?
Margot Menison. I'm on the board of the Street Trust.
Tell me about some of the things you have seen so far.
I had never ridden the Marine Drive Trail, and someone said, it's crazy you go from being right next to semi to suddenly you're on this nature trail, and I was like, you are so right.
What do you think about rides like this, the ability to kind of get people out of an office, out of a Zoom meeting, and just in person in the flesh pedaling bikes?
Well, it's really, really important. The conversations that we're having, like on a bike, at lunch, they're leading to like new connections, new partnerships, and everyone should try to get out of their office and do a bike ride on a Friday.
Anything else you want to share?
Are we really live?
No.
Okay.
My huge focus, the thing that drew me to public office has been community safety and then economic empowerment. And one of the main connectors is being able to travel safely throughout communities. I'm so excited for the work and the focus of a committee that's led by myself and our co-chair. And we're really looking at bike safety and roads and also advocating for just more investments here in East Multnomah County.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. 10 years ago, the city of Troutdale, Wood Village, Fairview, and together with Multnomah County came together with a vision for this corridor called the Main Streets on Halsey. Our vision is to transform this roadway into a community main street with clusters of commercial development and new housing connected by improved sidewalks, bike paths, and crosswalks that feel safe and comfortable for everyone. We talked about the Edgefield stretch that you just biked, and so I want you to imagine in the future, instead of biking along a narrow shoulder next to encroaching blackberries, you're on a beautiful raised pathway at sidewalk level, traveling with other families up and down the Halsey Main Street.
After we left Wood Village City Hall, we were now on the westbound portion of our loop and heading back to our starting point. Between Halsey and Gleason out here in East County and Gresham still, we took a pretty circuitous route through neighborhood streets. We even went through a Target parking lot of all things, which was really weird. And just as I was about as lost as I thought I could be, we ended up rolling right into Salish Ponds Wetlands Park, which I've actually explored in the past, but it's been many, many years ago. I was really happy to be there. It was a beautiful change from the city streets we were on before, and just really reminded me what an oasis this place is, and reminded me how much I want to go back here and spend a little bit more time walking and biking around. After rolling through the wetlands, we continued westbound through the interesting mix of rural and industrial that really is sort of the trademark of this part of East County, and we ended up back on the Columbia Slough. This is a relatively new piece of path along the Columbia a slough, and I really felt like we were in the backwoods here in a secret path. And on the other end of it was a bit of treasure in the form of yummy cookies that someone was passing out, which we ate as we learned about the Big Four Corners wetlands restoration project that the City of Portland's Bureau of Environmental Services did. That was our last stop and info session before our final push back to Level Beer at Northeast 148th, where I'll let Steph Noll bring it all home.
We do have the folks here today and in our networks to really move the ball forward and make the future we want. So thanks so much for being a part of it. Really glad you're here. And big thanks to everybody. Thanks.
I'm so glad she's going to make it in these videos. Willy!